are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Ideal Education Wednesday workshop where I actually have two special guests this week. If you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourself right quick. Faith, we can start off with you.
I was like, okay, which one are we going? I'm Faith Bailey. I'm the hiring services manager over here at Ideal Traits. I am in charge of the candidate engagement program and kind of what we'll be talking about today.
Great. All right, everyone. My name is Nolan Duda. I'm the client experience manager for Ideal Traits. So I guess I've been here for about 4.5 years. And in my role now, I oversee the sales, support, and retention departments in order to enhance the client experience as a whole. So we're going to be talking about some great stuff today, and I'm excited. So yeah, Monica, I'll kick it back to you.
Perfect. Awesome. And again, really highlighting on the candidate engagement program today, as well as our video interview tool. But as always, if you guys do have any questions throughout this presentation, please feel free to utilize the chat bubble in the bottom right-hand corner. And a recording of this will be sent to you afterwards. So if you have to leave at any point in time, a recording will be sent to you and we'll get that taken care of. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the candidate engagement program. Now, at Ideal Traits, we are always trying to revolutionize what we're doing here to really make sure that our candidates our clients are having the best experience in regards to that relationship with their candidates. So, Nolan, do you want to just touch base on why we started the candidate engagement program?
Yeah, no, I can absolutely do that. And I'm sure Faith will have some things to add into as well. But the candidate engagement program, for those of you that haven't gotten a chance to take a look at it, whether it be on the website or in the marketplace, it's located within your Ideal Traits account. It's a program where really, I suppose to sum it up in a simple way, is where your relationship with Ideal Traits becomes a little bit more intimate in the sense that we're working a little bit closer with you, and we're working closer within your account. So with that being said, Faith and her team, and again, I'm sure Faith will touch on this, are reaching out to candidates. They're creating job ads for you. They're doing job market research. They're meeting with you regularly as you see fit, and a number of different things that, again, Faith will highlight. But originally, when us here at Ideal Traits were thinking about, what the market needs and what agents are looking for, the candidate engagement was the answer that a lot of agents were looking for. And within that program, it was a couple of the main reasons why it was started. It was because there was a demand from agents out there that did not have time to reach out to the candidates that were applying to the positions that they do have offered. So what was happening is agents were receiving applications, obviously in a variety of amounts, and those candidates were sitting there, were not getting reached out to, and at that point they were moving on to different positions, or different opportunities, if you will. So that's one of the main components. And then additionally too as well, there's a lot of agents out there, and they don't want to spend time doing their recruiting, and frankly, they don't know where to start, right? So Faith and her team do a great job of, like I said before, creating those job ads, doing the job market research, and really providing the agents that do subscribe to the candidate engagement with a lot of great information, and can really jumpstart their recruiting process or give it the revamp that it truly needs and deserves. So a couple of highlights of why we decided to start the program, and then Faith, if there's anything that I missed that you wanted to add, of course, as the head of the department, please feel free.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head, actually. It was really about time was the biggest thing. And we've had this established for actually a year now, that we have been kind of running this with my team and myself, and the saving the time is a big factor of that. And also, I think, Nolan, you hit on a good point too of agents not knowing where to start as well, which I think is also a really great way of how we kind of help out with that too, and just making sure that they are educated and know exactly what to do, when to do it. I think one thing that's been really different over the last, I would even say year, a couple of years, is the market shift. I mean, we've talked about this in other education workshops and other articles and things like that, as far as how the market has changed. And I think one way that it has changed is the outbound calling of those candidates, whether that is through calling or emails, but that outbound reach out to them versus having them just take the assessment, or them reach out. It's shifted where now the agents need to be reaching out and having that outbound contact with them to show that they're interested and to show that they want to have that conversation with them, whether that's with a phone screen or an interview, so that's also another reason why we kind of started as well.
So diving a little bit deeper into that, Faith, like when you mentioned about like just starting off, right? When they first get signed up, like tell me a little bit about that process.
Yeah, so first time upon sign up is an onboard with me. So we really kind of go further in depth, obviously into the program. Whether you're talking with Nolan or anybody on the sales team, they obviously do a great job at going in depth on what to expect and when to expect it. I go even further, believe it or not, because you can, and making sure that you really know exactly what you signed up for, what's going to happen. So we kind of do that onboard call. And after we kind of do the onboard call, I learn about your position, what you're looking for. I learned about your agency. So we can get into the customization of the program as well, which is those custom job ads and that job market research as well. So we will then start writing those, conducting that market research, and then overall setting up the account as well. One-way video interviewing is also offered inside of the candidate engagement program as well. So getting those set up, having the agents choose those questions as well is a part of that too. So you also have that kind of option too. So you're also getting the account set up, and of course, my team and myself are doing all of that. The agent doesn't do that. That's all kind of, I call it back end work that we do. But we do encourage the agents to always learn the navigation of the account. So making sure you're doing your quick start tour inside of your account, so you know where to go, how to navigate, so things like that.
Definitely. And now, Faith, like with your team reaching out to them, like, is this just like a couple of times? Like, tell me a little bit about that. Cause I know like the biggest thing for some agents is like, well, I sent them the assessment, they didn't do it. I moved them to the archive folder, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so when a candidate applies, they actually get up to 6 contacts via call and email when they apply to the agency. So that first call is going to be done within the day that they apply. We get notified as soon as you have an application or a candidate in your account. So the team and myself are calling that day to what we do is called a welcome call. And we talk about thanking them for applying to the position. We talk about what the next step is, like the assessment. We go over any questions that those candidates would have, and we help them get kind of logged in, making sure they know exactly where to go, where to find that assessment link. So that's kind of that first portion or that first step when a candidate applies, and they get up to, like I said, those 6 contacts to complete that.
Perfect. And now with that, like, is it for the time span that it lasts? Is it just a span of like, for the engagement program itself? Like,
Mm-hmm.
is that just lasting, for until they make the hire, or tell me a little bit about that process?
Yeah, so I think that's a little bit different when it comes to the candidate engagement program. That is a little bit different. Is there is no time span. It's unique to every single agent, and what I mean by that is there's different packages. So we have 3 separate packages that you can purchase ultimately, and there's no time frame. There's no
Right.
it's going to happen in a month or it's going to happen in 6 months. It goes off of the rate of the applies that you have ultimately in your account and the number of applies that you purchase through the engagement program. So we have a 30 apply package, a 75 apply package, and then a 100 apply package for remote positions that we also offer ultimately, and we go off of those. So there's no time frame. It just goes off of the number of applies that you purchase, and there's no limit on hires either. That's something that's also different as well. So it's a one-time fee with optional sponsorship as well. So there's no additional fees for if you hire anybody, or if you, let's say you made 3 hires, which would be fantastic, which has happened. There's no
Yeah.
additional fees for that to occur ultimately for your account. So.
Awesome. Now, Nolan,
Mhm.
I know like when first getting, people signed up for this, right? They might hear maybe the pricing or just all of this information. And what is like something that like you might reference to in regards to that sponsorship, right? Like why that is important, especially in the job market that we are currently in.
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's a tough one to answer because it truly comes down to what type of position that respective agent's looking for, where they're located, and a
Right.
number of different factors like is it licensed, unlicensed, is it remote, is it in office? So in most cases, if you're hiring remote currently in this market, having to sponsor, it's going to be less recommended by us because we're seeing that there's more applications that are coming in for that respective position. That's just why if you do remote, you get more candidates included as a part of your candidate engagement program for the same price, right?
Right.
So, I mean, if you come to us and let me first, I suppose, preface by saying that no matter what type of position that you're looking to hire for, we can assist you with it, right, in the candidate
Yeah.
engagement program and with Ideal Trades alone, for that matter. And Faith and her team, what they're going to provide you with is a way for you to get a step above, right? Being provided with all of these unique components that help make your job ad more attractive. One, by it being more personalized to your agency, your offering, and all the uniqueness that's surrounded around that. But then also by providing you with job market research, which is going to allow you to have more information on whether or not your opportunity is competitive. So those are obviously two important factors. And then, obviously, if you have those in place and you're still not receiving the amount of applications you need, the next step is going to be that campaign ad budget or the sponsorship, as Faith alluded to.
Right.
So my team and I are educating agents. Like, if you're looking for someone who's licensed and in office, there's a strong possibility that you are going to need to support your job ad financially, because you're looking for someone who's going to fill a more niche position, right?
Right.
And if we think about it, with those requirements based around those positions, you're limiting the amount of applicants who are acceptable, if you will, or
Right.
qualified, for better term is what I was looking for. So if you come to what we're seeing in Faith, I'm sure this is fair to say that if you're looking for customer service, generally you're receiving more applications than you are if you're receiving sales. But again, that's all dependent on your offering and your market, right? But on average, if you're hiring customer service, you can expect more applications to come in than sales. The reason behind that, it's still the unanswered question that everyone is looking for an answer to. But generally, for those sales positions, they're harder to find, right?
Yeah.
So a way for you to be able to set yourself apart is with a campaign ad budget or by offering a remote position. Both of those can give you the exposure that you need in order to fill that pipeline with candidates that are potentially a good fit for you, whether it's one or three, as Faith mentioned.
Definitely. And I think that with the current hiring market that we are in, just the overall number of customer service jobs in general, right? Not even insurance specific, but rather just in overall the hiring market, I feel like there is a greater number of customer service positions out there. So maybe when clients are looking, or candidates are looking to go from one job opportunity to another, they might be able to relate with those ads a little bit more compared to taking that risk. If they feel internally like they do have what it takes to be successful in sales, right? And again, Nolan had highlighted on the experience level as well. This is something that we like to touch base on almost every single week, because of the fact that when you are looking for that person that does have that experience, that also has their license, right? We add more and more things that they have to physically have, right? And that just essentially adds on a little bit more time to find that exact person to help fill that role. So I definitely agree with that. And that's why, in my opinion, I do think a sponsored budget is going to be extremely helpful in that scenario. Just again, depending as to your market, Faith, I think that it's really awesome that your team also does help provide that market research, because when agents go in here, unexpectedly saying, well, I feel like I should have all these people that are licensed and applying, right? And it's like, well, you also got over 200 job ads in your area. So just, breaking down what that is for them to understand, I think is super important. But now that we understand a little bit about the budget before, kind of getting everything set up, and as well as during. Now, Faith, once they do make that hire, like, what is the steps after that? Like, do you guys, like, are you a part of the interviews, or is that more on their side? Do you just get it scheduled for them? Tell me a little bit about that process.
Yeah, it's a great question. So once we have that candidate that has that completed assessment, we actually send our one-way video interview that we have. So it integrates right within your Ideal Trades platform. You get to choose 3 to 5 interview questions to ask the candidates, and then we send that to them as well. And we also will make communications towards the candidates to have that completed too. So again, we do that welcome email and that welcome call to go over that with them, tell them what to expect. It's a 5 question interview one way. They, of course, ask the questions and then record their responses on a video, and then that's sent back to the agent. After that happens, that really goes back to the agent. This is where we have the agent step back in so we can review what we call the toolbox ultimately, right? Their
Right.
resume, their assessment, and then also that one-way video interview too. And then they ultimately are the decision maker from there. So they handle
Right.
all of the deciding if they want to interview with that candidate or if they would like to pass, or maybe use that candidate for another position as well that they might be organically hiring for now along the way too. So,
Yeah,
mhm,
definitely. And
yeah.
I liked also how with the two custom job ads, now typically is that like something that you see is like hiring just for one position or maybe two? Like tell me a little bit about that process.
Yeah, I have a kind of a mixture of both, to be honest with you. I have some agents that will use the one and then bank the other one for a little bit later. I have another, other agents that will use the two right out of the gate and look for both of those at the same time. So it's kind of a mixture. One is maybe one is hiring for sales, one is hiring for service, and maybe sometimes I have agents that will use the service applies for the sales. If they're getting those types of candidates for that particular role, that might be better for that role. So I also have sometimes agents will use those applies, for both of the ads ultimately that they're looking for.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for that information.
Yeah.
Now, I really think that we've gone fully in depth on what the candidate engagement program is, why it's beneficial, and all of that
hmm
nature. Is there anything else that either of you two had wanted to add going into that before we kind of navigate towards the video interview product?
Faith, I would say, talking a little bit about how much the program has had success
hmm
since it started. So if you want to touch on that, I know you're working obviously always to have up-to-date information there. So if you wanted to highlight a little bit about that, I think that'd be good for everyone to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So since we started, we've had over 60 hires. It's pretty common actually for an agent to get not just one, but two or three, upwards of two or three, with their package. So we are really excited about that. The team always gets excited when I get a call or an email from an agent, and they're like, "I ended up hiring that candidate. That's great." So I love sharing with the team because I love hearing the success stories. But the number one response, I know we kind of already touched base on this, is the time factor of it. That is probably my number one feedback whenever I talk to agents when they are coming off of the program is how much time it saved.
Yeah.
Not only just with the calling of the candidates, but also the one-way video interview as well. And I know Monica, you're going to kind of transition into that, but that's also a huge time factor and a huge time saver as well. But that's been a big thing. Is time is they get time back. Obviously, agents are running a business. They're managing other people and trying to bring another one on at the same time. So they can be a little bit tricky and a lot to kind of handle in one day and 1 week even. So trying to manage all of that. So we're grateful that we are able to even help them with that, even just a little bit, and really help them save time and make a hire faster ultimately because of those communications. So.
Definitely. And I feel like that 60 plus, that goes to show like the amount of time and dedication that you guys have put
hmm
into this program alone because
Yeah.
like you said, reaching out to these candidates, it's not the easiest work and it definitely can be time consuming. So taking that into factor as well as their job ads. I mean, getting two pre-custom written ads by us, a part of
hmm
your package. I think that that's amazing because there's so much information about agents' job ads that sometimes gets left out, all these
I
unique
agree.
benefits or the pay structure, right? Just a lot of different factors that go into it. And these are the hard hitting questions that we want to know so that way we can ensure that we are creating the most effective ad for you. Because the last thing that we want is a 2 sentence job description, one benefit listed, and 30 responsibilities and requirements, right? I mean,
hmm
the amount of times that we've seen ads like that and they might not be getting the production that we would like to see. So the fact that you really do take the time to make sure that these different things are being met to ensure that they're having a successful hiring process is amazing. And that's why I love this program so much. And I think it is so important for agents to get more information about it, as well as being able to utilize this tool for any of their future hiring needs.
Absolutely.
But so, with that being said, let's go ahead and navigate on over to what the video interview tool is. I know that you touched base on it a few times in regards to utilizing that for some of your candidates. Now, Nolan, I believe we also use it for our internal candidates as well, correct?
Yeah, yep. So I have the unique benefit of being able to utilize both the candidate engagement program as well as the video interviewing tool, of course. As Faith mentioned, it comes with both. So, yeah, I mean, it's when I think about the candidate engagement program, and of course, like right now, as an example, I'm actively recruiting for a customer support team lead as well as a marketing specialist. So 2 positions. Now, since those ads got posted, what was it, Faith, last Thursday?
Yeah.
Last Thursday, and they were paused on on Monday, right
Monday.
after the
Yeah.
weekend. At that point, we had received, I think, 210 applicants on the marketing ad alone and 140 on the support team lead. So, of course, Faith and her team are reaching out to the candidates that have applied and making that first interaction, because if I had to call 340 candidates, I wouldn't be here right now because I'd still be doing that. Right. So,
Right.
obviously, I'm very appreciative of Faith and her team, and they do a great job of not only reaching out to them and talking to them about next steps, but doing it so efficiently so those candidates stay in the pipeline. And for me, it's crucial. And of course, I'm a little biased, obviously, right? But when I think about it from an outside perspective of like the benefit of how many candidates I've been able to interview and how many candidates I've been able to consider, not that I move all of them through, but the ones that I've been able to consider because they've gotten through the assessment, they've gotten through the video interview because of that communication that's there. Now, I know we already talked about candidate engagement. So if I focus on the video interview side of it, I mentioned that there was 200 plus candidates on the marketing, 140 on the support. Of course, not all of them are going to complete the assessment. Not all of them are going to complete the video interview. But if I was to go through and call every single candidate that has completed the assessment, I would then still be making most likely 150 plus phone calls and scheduling interviews
Right.
based off of the resume, the assessments, and the communication and the conversation I had with them initially, right? So with the video interviewing tool, I am able to instead, obviously Faith and her team are reaching out and they are directing them to complete the video interview once they've completed the assessment, right? So then at that point, I'm able to watch those recordings at my availability, right? So
Right.
during the day, I have a pretty stacked calendar, right? So I don't have the ability to schedule 10 interviews a day each week. Like it's not possible, it's not feasible for me, and it's most likely not feasible for you all as agents, right? So being able to, again, have an outside perspective and be like, what is this saving me in terms of time? And it's massive, right? Because I'm able to, when I do have downtime, I'm able to pop in and review those video interviews and be able to determine whether or not I do want to interview these people. And I've probably, over the last couple of days, if I was to just think about it a little bit, probably somewhere between 50 to 60 video interviews for the 2 positions. And through that, have scheduled 10 interviews total, right? So for those 2 positions, so probably 7 for the service, 3 for the marketing, right? And just being able to go from 340 applications to what I just mentioned, right? And being able to get it down to 10 interviews total, it's saving me time, a tremendous amount of time for me to be able to review that at my leisure and when I'm available to do it. But then I'm reviewing it, obviously same day or next day to be able to then respond to those candidates to then continue that great engagement that Faith and her team have done a great job of cultivating, right? So it's very important that you stay in touch with the candidates. So getting to those video interviews, although you're able to do it at your leisure, it's important that you do find time to do it when you can. So the benefit of it is you don't have to schedule a firm time. It's like, hey, I'm going to interview today at 1. Then the candidate just doesn't show up. And it's like, you
Right.
just wasted a whole hour of your calendar. Instead, you can go throughout the day and then, watch them on your lunch break, watch them when the office is closing down and the calls stop coming in. Or if you get into the office early, you can, obviously take a look at them before the office opens and the phone starts ringing. So having that flexibility is crucial because, again, as agents, you're handling more things than just recruiting, similar to me. I'm handling more things than just recruiting. So being able to have these things in place creates a difference maker for you and your time and your process. So it's important. So long-winded, Monica, I apologize. But
No, that's excellent. And I really also enjoy how you can actually see and hear how they are presenting themselves, right? Because essentially, this is going to be your first interaction actually with them. Yes, they
yeah,
are taking the assessment, like you mentioned, and still being able to reach out by face team. But after that, the ball's still then now in your court to understand how are they going to present themselves, right? Are they maybe just like in a bunch of sweatshirts or with all their buddies, not really taking it seriously. Okay. great, thank you so much for your time. That's just not maybe who I'm considering for this position, right? You want the person that's going to put their best foot forward. And I really like how this does captivate that. And you can ask hard hitting questions, and as well as being able to change that time span as well. From a minimum, if you ask a more complex question, you can set the minimum time span to 30 seconds. Like, I want at least a 30-second answer for this, on what some of your hopes and dreams are in the future, right? As well as being up to schedule it for up to 2 minutes too. So again, you really can customize it to specifically ask the hard hitting questions that you would like to get more information on. So that way you can just make that hiring process that much more efficient, moving them throughout those different stages as well. And like Nolan said, if they aren't someone that you would like to consider anymore, just feel free to move them to the archive folder. We do have rejection emails that you can utilize if they are not someone that you are considering because they're underqualified. They missed the interview, right? We have tons of different ones in there to, again, keep that transparency up. So this way they fully understand they're not on the hook after maybe 3 weeks saying, did I get the job, right? Just being sure that they are still kept in the know. But excellent. Did you guys want to show an example of what our internal account looked like?
Ooh, Faith, you want to pull that up?
That'd be fun.
We can do that. Yeah. And then also, too, while Faith's getting that pulled up, I mean, if I was to sit back and compare how I was, like the time that I was spending with interviews, I think one of the things that Monica was touching on a little bit is the unpredictiveness, or the unpredictable nature of that first interview. So being able to see them and to hear them helps you better understand what to expect, right? Because that, if you schedule a Zoom meeting or it's an in-person interview, I mean, it's unpredictable, right? But when you have that video interview, it's sort of that first line for you to be able to better determine whether or not that you feel as if they're a good fit, and whether they're worth you setting aside time on your calendar to be able to bring them in or to conduct a Zoom interview with them. So I wanted to point out that too as well, Monica, because I think you touched on it a little bit in terms of being able to see them and hear them and get a better feel for what they're going to bring to the table, which is what it's all about, of course.
Definitely. I feel like all of our interviews just look so good on pen and paper, right? And then you get this person that is supposed to be this rock star, superstar, and you're like, who's the person that's on that paper? Because that is not who I'm interviewing today, right? So I definitely do think it can help with conveying all of those different factors.
Do we have time to show the internal account?
Yeah, we got a few more minutes.
All right, perfect.
Cool. All right. Here we go. Okay. So our account's going to also look a little bit different too, because we also use the custom stages as well. So over on the left-hand side, there's going to be a lot more stages. And I think this is something that we could also kind of mention too, going back to the engagement program. This is something that's also included as well to help myself and my team as we're kind of going through and working the account. We have custom stages in there. So video interview requested and video interview completed. Those are going to be 2 stages that are especially added to kind of help us navigate, and also you navigate too, as agents, on where to go and what you can see next, kind of thing. So I think that helps. So every candidate that comes in obviously starts in the assessment stage and then goes to assessment complete. We have them kind of go through. Obviously, they're sent the video interview at that point, and then once they are completed, they are put into this folder, and this is kind of Nolan's review folder, so to speak, that he goes in here when he has the free time and ultimately clicks on just a candidate. I guess I'll just...
Looks like I've got some more to complete.
Yeah, you do. But it's the video interview is super nice. So when you go into here, obviously this is what the candidate's profile is going to look like. You'll then be able to go into their video interview. Their interviews are going to be right in here. We actually have 5 questions in here loaded in. Let me scroll and use this. You're able to leave comments on here. So when Nolan is watching this, or if he has somebody else that is also viewing the video interviews, they also have the option to see Nolan's comments as well. So streamlines the process. Yeah.
And all in one convenient location as well. I really like that, just to make sure everything is all together. You're not leaving out any information, and you still do have that option to be able to download those videos for future reference if needed as well.
Absolutely. Yep.
Faith, could you quickly click the jobs category there?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know we talked a little bit about, obviously the applicants that we've been receiving. So over the last, month or two, obviously you can see the remote sales team lead back in June, 140 applications, 131 and 204, right? So these are remote positions, obviously, as you can see within the title, but to sort of just give the people here a chance to take a look to see, like, this is the response that we're receiving. You can obviously see in the candidate stage that we were in before, like the high amount of candidates that are in the pipeline. But opening yourself up again to things like remote and sponsoring, is going to give you a step in the right direction. So just again, wanted to highlight that real quick before you headed to the marketplace, I'm sure.
Yep. So in the marketplace here, you're actually able to see the video interview. It pops up right here. So you're actually able to integrate it right into your Ideal Trades account. Of course, there's a couple of other things as well that are in here, like the A-Spot, the custom pages that I also mentioned as well. And then also the candidate engagement program too. So that's also mentioned here. If you click on this learn more, it actually is going to take you over to the landing page for the engagement program as well, where you can see more kind of step-by-step exactly what happens. You'll also able to see client testimonials, and then also the pricing as well for you too. So it's all right there in the marketplace.
Excellent. Yeah, and that's a great place to just be able to check out any additional features that we have as well if you would like to reference that. So we have tons of different things that we're always trying to, again, revolutionize to make sure that you are having the best experience possible. And some of these tools are definitely going to be beneficial to that process. But you guys, that is all I have for today. Nolan and Faith, thank you so very much for joining and just giving that insight for why these candidates are so important to be reached out to, as well as what we are continuously doing for our clients. I think it's really great to have you both a part of this and shedding that information to them.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for having us, Monica. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, if there are no other questions that I'm seeing in the chat so far, we can go ahead and end this. And again, you will be sent a recording of it. So definitely be tuned for next week, as I will be going over, getting candidates that aren't qualified for the positions that you're posting for, why that might be, and maybe some potential solutions. So definitely be sure to check that out. You'll receive some email communications about that. But that is all I have for today, you guys. Have yourself a lovely rest of your Wednesday and an even better week. And as always, happy hiring. Take care, you guys.